Hello, Dr. Jones, Spiritual Life Talks. And spiritual life includes some of the most grievous and most beautiful moments, and that is dying. I want to share with you, and I'm going to ask you not to tell too many people. This is a small channel. What it was like to watch or to see the beauty of my husband's passing in the hospice along with other people. When he was first taken in and they did the intake, and he was I would say unhappy, but, he was there, he was conscious. He looked out the window, and a hummingbird came to sit by the window, and I saw his face light up, and I saw as the nurses were by his bed, I saw him relax. It's like he found a place, like he found some ground, he found peace while he was still alive, and he wasn't thinking he was dying, he was searching, his soul was searching for a good place to be, and he seems to have found it. I found it with him. And my feeling at the hospice, I want to share with you what it was like, the moments of his great jubilation when he got up, decided he's coming home. And I went to the nurses and I said, look, look, I didn't sign that he's going to be here forever. He's coming home. And I called them. They look at me. They didn't really want to come from the nurse's station, but they finally came and he was fast asleep. And those who have been by the bedside of people who are ill or supposedly dying, there's these great ups and downs because dying is not a straight path. It's like life. There's beautiful moments, there's horrible moments, there's moments of terrible boredom when you sit there and your beloved is doesn't ever wake up, or so it seems. I wanted to share with you a few stories that make me realize that this was no ordinary. The dying is something, if we're not afraid of it, can be something beautiful. And at the other end of it, it's the great unknown, but there are little hints about what might be there. One day, my husband shot up his arm and he was pretty much immobile. And I said, what are you doing? And he called me to him because it was hard for him to raise his voice. And he said, my mother's up there. She's packing my bags. And I put his arm down for the reason that I knew his mother had died 20 years ago. And it wasn't a good sign if she was packing his bags. And I was scared. He wasn't. I was scared. I was scared because I had heard from other people that before the death of their loved ones, a grandfather living in the house, someone's old brother living in the house, they do see the ancestors coming to visit. They do see their beloved people and relatives coming, perhaps to escort them somewhere. And that happened once, and it happened right before he died. He put up his arm again. And this time when I tried to lower his arm, it didn't lower. I knew he was going to his mother. I know many things from spending 2 months by his bedside, 4 days a week, not every day, in which I took notes so I recall some of the things I'm telling you. I watched the faces of those in the room or in other rooms. I watched his face, and there were moments of great peace. And of course, there's quiet. The hospice is quiet. There's no paging. There are no intercoms. There are no beeping. There are no um, life-saving devices attached to anybody, no monitors attached to everybody. All patients are fed as much as they want to eat, monitored for fever, and that they can breathe easily, but there's no intervention. When there's no intervention, it proceeds in its own way. How does death proceed? I asked one of the nurses, I said, what's going on here? There's so much quiet. What is it? Are people getting enlightened? And she said, perhaps. And she told me she had been a midwife, and she finds it almost the same thing watching a woman give birth as watching a person, a soul, get ready for what she just terms a new birth. She said for her, her feeling is it's a passage. It's a birth into something we don't know what it is. And I certainly don't want to say what it is. I have no idea what it is. One more story I want to share with you. Again, I was very much awestruck by the quiet there and the peace I saw on the faces. And I told my kids, and they said, "Sure, but dad has a fentanyl patch on his chest." And I said, "Fentanyl or not, this is something else." There was something sacred there. There was a sacred unfolding of lives there in a language that's we can't understand. I could not. And again, I went trooping to the nurse's station because some of them are very wise, in addition to be very, very kind. And this one nurse didn't speak about passage into another life. She said, if you're looking for enlightenment or this sacred unfolding, why not do it when you're younger? Why not do it now before organs fail? And the idea of a sacred unfolding of your life accumulating for something beautiful is not in your possibility of understanding. Do it now. And I went rushing back to my husband's bedside and I closed the curtain around the bed. And there's the pictures of our family and our generations. And I said, please don't go. Please don't go. Life's too short. I don't want our journey to be over. And he said, bye bye, Junie, in a very soft voice. He went like this, bye bye. And I said, I'm sorry, because I know this was the time of forgiveness. If I've caused you any harm, if I've caused you illness. And he said, Junie, you're only good. He was in such a forgiving state because I think this is what happens at death. I'm not only good, that is for sure. This great forgiveness overcomes the dying. This great understanding, and this is why so often they're very, very, very quiet. This great procession of ancestors come to escort them into another world. This great passage that we're all so frightened of, myself included. So I wanted to speak to you about this in case you have a loved one who is very, very ill, in case you are very, very ill, God forbid, or in case you're in fear of when you get older, what might await you. I hope this helps. If you have any comments about the death of a loved one, the dying of a loved one, your fear of death, I would love to hear from you. Thank you.